In AFL media, there are a lot of different forms of documentary. Some are emotional, some informative, and others even talk about the success story of teams winning their flag. But to me, there is one particular that sticks out from the others.
Greatest footy story our game's ever seen.
Every heart beats true, the Jim Stynes story. No, it's not because I am an extremely biased D's supporter, but it's just the fact that this incredible man who was Jim Stynes was not only a fantastic footballer and created one of the best legacies, but the battles that he had to fight and the selflessness he presented to everyone. In this documentary, we aren't just viewing about his amazing football journey or even his battles with cancer. We are presented with Jim Stynes' unique mind that is nothing but amazing. We are taken to explore his day-to-day life with one of his closest friends, Jules Lund, vlogging him through his battles with cancer, while Jim also shows why and who he is exactly fighting for. The beginning of the documentary, we are shown what Jimmy has achieved in his career somewhat briefly, but we quickly switch over to where the real story actually begins. Jim's wife Sam pointed out a noticeable lump on his back. He was immediately placed under an ultrasound once checked out by a doctor and had to further wait for the results. But because of how busy life was for Jim during this time, as he played a big role in the Reach Foundation and was the Melbourne Footy Club president, he was attending meetings and events more than ever trying to save the struggling footy club. And soon after, life just went on again, and the bumps were not in the spotlight for him. The day finally came. A week or two later, he was finally called in for an appointment with the results. Before the doctor spilled it to Jim and his wife, he would tell Sam to take down all of the information because he knew that it would be difficult for Jim to process. He had tumours all over his body.
When we went in for the results,
he said, "Now, Jim, what I'm going to tell you, you're probably not going to hear most of this. So, Sam, you're going to have to hear all this because Jim now is going to go to another place in his mind and he's going to be, all this stuff's going to be going on." And it was exactly what happened. I heard the initial diagnosis, which was, "Jim, you've got cancer in a number of places in your body. You got one in your lung, which is the size of a grapefruit.
There was also one sitting on a nerve. There was a large cannonball sitting in his upper lung.
Cancer in a number of places in your body.
He was given 9 months to live. Everything he thought he knew was important was just thrown out the window, and he had to change his mindset. He gathered around his closest mates and told them the news, and then afterwards revealed it to the public.
I had a small, I had a lump. And so I got in there and it was enormous. Like every channel there was 2 cameras, they were running live feeds. As I walked in, there was a woman standing there and she's actually talking live to the audience saying, "Oh, Jim's just arriving now and he's with his wife," and I'm just going, "Oh my God."
One of Jim's best mates, Jules Lund, offered him to drive up to the hospital after the conference was made, which made Jim feel really good, so Jules decided to film some of his procedure, which lightened up the spirits.
He's still trying. He is. No, you're not. He's so vain. You know, you've got a Bondi body. That's a Bondi chest because it's far from manly. You'll never go back now. You'll be doing this for the rest of your life.
He was getting wet patches on his front.
I know. Well, he's nervous. You're a big celebrity.
You could sell that. It's that good.
Don't.
Come on, have a drink.
Don't.
We'll see.
I don't even. He's had 3 massive temazepam tablets, 10 milligrams each, in this cup, and he's been slowly. Come on, read it out loud.
I can't. Dear Jim.
The back of Jules' mind, he knew Jim would shortly go through an important surgery which would take 6 hours. So he went through Jim's computer and printed out his favourite photos with the people he loved and stuck them up the walls. So when he would wake up, he would be reminded on what he is fighting for.
I took his computer and stole all his photos and printed them up and surrounded his room so he'd wake up to all the people that would remind him, you know, what he's fighting for, and that pain that he's feeling right now is worth it.
Now, let's go back in time to see how he created his everlasting legacy. Jim was recruited from Ireland to the AFL, and no one really thought much of him at first. It took him a few years till he was regularly playing in the firsts, and the year prior to his career breakout, one of his most iconic moments as a footballer occurred in the preliminary final, where he ran across the mark 55 metres out.
Still learning the technical rules, Jim's greatest fear was at a critical moment giving away a penalty.
And then he did. He ran across the mark. 15-metre penalty, it was as it was at the time. You go from this greatest journey, Melbourne, not having played finals for so long, Robbie Fowler, all this emotion, and it was right there. And in the space of 5 seconds, it's gone.
It would have a sour taste if Jim ended his career like that. So, he had to make a statement. He won the Brownlow the next season, won 4 club best and fairest, and was conducted in the Hall of Fame, and till this day still holds the record of the most consecutive games ever played.
And from that day forward, he never looked back. And he dominated, just tore the competition to shreds. And it was fait accompli by the end of the season. He was going to win the Brownlow medal.
Jim's dad, Brian, and
Once Jim retired as a footballer, he decided to help create the Reach Foundation to support young people, and ended up loving it, and he got himself involved by going on camps and doing talks. Jim's cancer was a beast that could only be fought by the best. He constantly has to drink his own piss just so he can boost his immune system. Throughout his therapy, he is involved in many different activities such as childcare, meditation, spending time with family, and having a coffee. It's much more different than what you would usually have when you say, I'm going to have a coffee. I'll just show you this short clip rather than explaining it. It's called a coffee enema.
Unfortunately, I've got to take it in a different way. So come with me for a little adventure and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it.
But how's it going, lads? It's the Flying Man from Dublin, Jimmy Stynes, the best they had. Dublin Jim, you've done us proud, flying high.
So obviously not the traditional way of having a coffee. It's a coffee enema, and the idea is to get all this liquid into my bowels and up through my intestines and so on, so I can clear it out and then hopefully flush out some of the toxins in my body.
Yeah, I'm extremely sorry you had to see that, but I had to put it in there because it's like Jim Stynes' fighting spirit. Swimming and cycling is also a big part about his therapy. It helps get his body moving, become more flexible, and would feel better about himself once doing all that. But one time when he was taking a bike ride, it went horribly to plan. He said he nearly died. He immediately had to get scanned, and the doctors found an additional 4 tumours in his head from what it seemed like an instant. One of them which would permanently affect his vision. It's hard to see Jim's reaction to all this because he's already fighting cancer, and now he'll just realise that he'd be getting a disability alongside. Besides that, Jim would still have his fighting mentality. He is still fighting for a lot, especially his family. What Jim has said during his fight for cancer is that he has appreciated life more than ever and living the moments he can. As time went by, Jim was starting to feel lower and lower, and he was starting to have the thoughts that the tumour rehab just wasn't going how he liked it. There was a Reach session that was made for Jim. Jules Lund organised it after he felt and knew that Jim was feeling low and a bit broken, so he got a lot of people who Jim had helped and he got every single one of them to share their story and remind him how special he really was. He heard everyone's story, and that just got him to let go of it all.
That's the beauty of Roots. What a great moment, we'll never forget it. Oh, God. Oh.
Sadly, not every story has its happy ending. Jim would pass away 2 years later after the documentary was made. Doctors said he was predicted to pass away in 9 months, but managed to live 3 years left. Isn't that just incredible? His legacy will remain forever, and he will be missed by everyone.